have a mess, and I apologize for the mess. I'm doing like 18 different things today, but I'm so excited because I have to show you a couple things. I know that the crafters that have been around for many years were SNUG HUG fans if they used seam binding. SNUG HUG was the go-to seam binding. You could buy it in a 100-yard roll, just like this. And that company was actually bought out. The SNUG HUG is being reproduced exactly the same thing. Hey, Sue. Hi, Grandma Joe. The SNUG HUG is exactly the same thing. You know, for a long time when SNUG HUG, I thought SNUG HUG went out of business when I could no longer find the links and things. And there were like pirate SNUG HUG people that had bought up a bunch at the end when they stopped manufacturing it. Hi, Carrie. And so I was really heartbroken by this because I love seam binding. So I decided to start using Sari Silk. But it's very expensive and you can't just always dye it. Silk is not color fast. And I know if you guys have used it, you know this, but I like a certain amount of permanence and I'm very attuned to color. And I'm going to go into these light bulbs in a minute and tell you how I match my paint colors because I think it's very important. If you make something and you think it's color coordinated and you go outside and it's not, or you go into a different light and it doesn't match at all, then that's a problem. But okay, so this is what I found. On Etsy, I found Zipper Stop, and it is in Long Island, and they sell this seam binding. It is 100% rayon. It is the woven edge. It is exactly SNUG HUG. Do you know why? I'm so excited. This is the company that bought them. And so for all that time that you couldn't find it, and I don't know how long you guys have been crafters. Hi, Vivian. I don't know how long you guys have been crafting. I don't know who all uses seam binding and who doesn't, but you know, the go-to was always SNUG HUG. So now it's Zipper Stop. Okay, so you can get 100 yards. Yes, I said 100 yards for $19, which is a fantastic price. So I decided to start doing some experiments because I have always dyed my seam binding to match my projects with acrylic paint that I've watered down. I water it down to the tone I want to go to. But I saw someone using the Glimmer Mist and it gives it a little bit of sheen, she said. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to try it. So initially, when I started to spray the seam binding with the Glimmer Mist, it's way too bright. It is very, very bright. And so what I decided to do was take it to the kitchen sink. I put on some gloves because you know how this stuff stains everything. It stains everything terrible. But I love the Tattered Angels. And so I wanted to kind of show what I had made. So I'm going to start with this. I'm keeping my favorite's under here. I'll show it last. I'm so excited. Okay, so you did. Okay, so I have a two-part experiment with this, Carrie, and I'll tell you why. The reason being is I like a certain amount of permanence, and if I say I laid something on the counter, and I'm famous for spilling my water. I keep my drinks off of my table because I am so accident prone sometimes, and you can see like I've got this whole mess. But when I'm drinking water, I do typically, if I'm at my big work table, I don't have a place to put it, so I don't drink anything but water. If I spill water and it gets on my project, I don't want it to run. So I typically don't use like distress sinks and things because if paper crinkles, that's okay. I'm okay with that. And if I have like coffee stained paper or tea stained paper, a lot of times that won't run always. So, but I don't want ever to see this. See these little blue spots? I don't want to see this on my project once something's dry. So this is going to be a two-part experiment. My first part is just to dye the seam binding, and then tomorrow what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in a few puddles of water, dip it in a couple times, and then see what comes off, because I don't know what good as bling. Hi, Donna. Yes, you know what? I love seam binding, and you came in a little late, but I'm so excited. I don't know how long you've been loving seam binding, but Snug Hug used to be the go-to seam binding. That was like the whole crafting community used Snug Hug, and they went out of business. But I thought they went out of business because none of my links worked to buy it. And you know, you don't buy it that often because they sold it in bulk. So I might buy it once every other year. So when I ran out, which wasn't so recently, it was a couple, probably, I don't know, 4 months ago, and I really started getting into a panic. That's when I started making these videos, because I started my YouTube channel like maybe, I don't know, a year and a half ago, and I only filmed a journal, a baby book I made, and it was horrible. The lighting's horrible, the audio's horrible. Thad's holding the camera. I'm not even in focus or in the center half the time. I'm cut off, can't see. So horrible videos, but I posted them anyway to show my mom because she was out of town. So when I started actually making craft videos to share all these crazy ideas I get, I was out of seam binding. And when I went to my go-to link where I had bought it before a time or two, no link, nothing, no connections. I Googled it. I couldn't find it. No Snug Hug, no Snug Hug. And I was freaking out, man. I was like, look at this, is ridiculous. I found a 100-yard roll of Snug Hug for $100, and I wasn't going to pay that. Okay. So I found Zipper Stop is the Snug Hug company. And if you look, so I ordered from them, and it actually says on here, yeah, I'm so happy. It actually says on here, it says the new version of Snug Hug. Okay. It says that on there, but what they've done is they've picked up those old links now that they've expired, and right, the good old days. I know, no more Snug Hug. That almost breaks my heart, because they were like, I think that's what my mom used, but so they sell the 100-yard roll. This is the woven edge, 100% rayon seam binding for $19. So of course I swooped it up because, well, because I've lived long enough without any seam binding. But I have never used the Glimmer Mist to dye them. And I thought, you know what, I'm really concerned. A couple of times I had used this, wait a minute, what had I used? Okay, I had used this Distress Spray Stain. And what happened was exactly what I was talking about spilling water. But I had laid this on like how I do on a paper plate to dry. But what I didn't realize was I had spilled some water on the kitchen counter because I was doing this at the sink. And I actually set the paper plate in some water. Well, later, when I picked up the plate, this stain had went through the plate. It had stained the counter, and I had to wash it off. And I was kind of concerned about that. And I thought, well, I'm not going to use this anymore. So in the past, I have used acrylic ink or acrylic paint. And so I use this, and it makes it a little bit stiffer. And I like the stiffness because if you guys are familiar with this, let me show you this. This is also my secret for tassels. I can tell you this. If you wrap this around, okay, a 3-inch piece of cardboard 10 times and tie it off, you know what you can do? You can do this. Let me show you this. This is my little secret. I'm giving away all my goodies. This is how I used to make my tassels. You see that? Then you just cut that string off and keep going. So once you pull that apart, you see how silky and shiny that is? So you can make some really pretty tassels with this. So that was my secret go-to for the tassels. But when you dye it, it kind of makes everything stiffer so it doesn't unravel. So what I did was I basically took the Glimmer Mist and water, both. So I kind of squeezed it out. I rolled it into a little ball, put a tiny bit of water on it, squeezed it out, and then I didn't actually spray because I don't want to clean my sprays out. You know, these are famous for clogging, but I just took the tip and kept dipping it onto the seam binding and squeezing it until I kind of got it the tone I wanted. So this one is the, what is this? This is the Raspberry Mint. It's called Raspberry Mint. It's a very bright blue. This one, actually, this one has like some pinks and purples in it. And this one is called Spooky Night. And this one kind of surprised me. This, I was hoping to get more of a Christmassy red. So I did put less water and more of the Glimmer Mist on it. This is called Red Tulips, and it's kind of a pinky red, which I wanted a more antique red. So I think I'm going to use this on top of a coffee dye maybe, and then see how that turns out to make it a little bit more of that antique-y, like a barn. I'd like a barn red. And then this one's my fave. I know that I don't know why I love these drab colors so much, but I gotta tell you, I love this. I love how this turned out. This is this is called Money Bags. It's the Tattered Angels called Money Bags. And this is such a nice evergreen green. And I don't know, I'm going to switch my lights and I'll explain my light bulbs here. And then I'm going to switch this back off and this on. I don't know which light is better. Let's talk about light bulbs too, because that's important. Your spectrum of light. I have LED lights, and you know, an Artist True Color Spectrum light is like $80. But you can actually buy 2 bulbs to make the full spectrum. And so I will do a separate video on how to get a full color spectrum with these 2 bulbs. I think this one was $8 and this one was $15. I'm not paying $50 for one light bulb, and that's why I have 2 lights, is to be able to see a full color spectrum. But now this one is different. This one is actually the acrylic paint, and you can see it's a little bit more intense color than the rest of them. I did not water that down a whole lot, but I do feel it's important to add the water to get the variation. So see where there's some lights and some darks in it, and it kind of looks, I don't know what the word is, maybe kind of tie-dyed. I like that. And there again, it makes it a little bit stiffer. You can see that it's not, you know, this is very flimsy when you get the seam binding. It's very, very soft and flimsy. This is harder because I like the acrylic paint, and you know what? It's permanent. If you put this on a charm or you put it on your journal and you turn around and you make something or give something to somebody, and it does, say they just are out in the rain and they took it to work with them, it's not going to bleed on their clothing. It's not going to bleed on them. But you realize that when we ink the edges of things with some of the Tim Holtz stuff, I have been carrying items against my chest like you do a book, how you carry a book, in the rain, and have got that on my clothes years, you know, after I made it. So that is why I like permanence. And so I think it's important, especially if you're going to sell an item or give an item as a gift. I don't ever want something to change necessarily. I don't want it to bleed. I don't want it to get spotted up. And so I do try to make things more permanent. So I am working on some charms, and this is what led me to start the seam dyeing experiment. I don't know if this will bleed. I don't know. Does anybody know if Tattered Angels bleed once they're dry? Because I'm really interested to know. And that's why I brought this paper plate out, because these are dry, okay? So I want to do an experiment with a dry plate. This is my dry plate. Okay. I'm going to spray some water on some of these just so we know. Something else I wanted to show is, I've been trying to make, I'm cheap and I try to make something out of something every time, but I got to show you, I got these table scatters at the Dollar Tree, and these come out every Valentine's Day. And at first I bought them just to stick in shakers because I like when the cover of the shaker is lifted up a little bit enough to let everything move around inside. So that was my thinking on these. Later, I bought these, and I'm going to pour some of these out and show you. These are bales, and you can get 100 of these for $3, okay? So there's all different colors and shapes and sizes, but they are listed under, okay, these are considered bales for glass cabochons. So if you're going to buy these and you search them, excuse me, you need to search under bales for glass cabochons. They have this nice assortment for $3 on Alene. You cannot beat this price. You can't anywhere. Trust me, I've searched. I use them all the time. So I just keep these on my order list. So even after I get them, I confirm my order and put my little review, and I leave them in my cart all the time because I go through them pretty fast. And I keep running out of these, the bronze color. I really like the bronze color, but I have the perfect charm in mind. In my head, I have this charm. So this is what I started making with these bales. Let me get a few of these. So I have these flatbacks, and I thought, well, I like these little starfish. I want to make an ocean themed charm. And so I decided I don't like the backs of these. The front are very pretty. Can you see they're iridescent, all different colors of these starfish, but the backs aren't painted. So I like things that look good from both sides. When this glue is dry, and I just put a drop of my glossy accents on there. When this glue is dry, I think I'm going to probably hit this with some acrylic fingernail polish or some acrylic paint. I thought about fingernail polish, but then I thought that might chip off. And then these are the little, again, AliExpress flatbacks. They're just roses. I don't know if this is dry. It's dried enough to hold on. But as you can see, this is one of the round bales. Bales are so fun. You can glue anything to them. And so I think everybody should buy some bales. Just start sticking stuff to them. If it don't stick, it don't stick. What's the worst thing that can happen? But you can find anything. You can take something out of a bubblegum machine and stick it to a bale and make a charm out of it. So here's the problem. Initially, I don't know if you can see that. Can you see how cloudy that is inside there? Initially, hey Lisa, when I decided to make a bale out of this, I used my old go-to, the gel, the matte medium. You're on your way to Tuesday morning. And it clouded up. So I don't like how that turned out. So I did another one with glossy accents, and I picked the heart shape. And as you can see, it's dry and clear already. It's not completely dry because it's been a couple hours ago, and you got to kind of leave it, I'd say 24 hours, but I think that's going to make a cute charm. Look how many of these charms I can make. So I got the bales for $3. I got this for $1. How many of these heart charms can I make? How many? There's probably 30 hearts in here, so there's no way you can beat this price to make your own. I used my glossy accents. And you know what? This baby bottle nipple works like a charm. I'm telling you, this thing is amazing. This does not clog up. It never clogs up. Now, the problem with this is it's not near as fine as the tip that comes on it. So you have to be very careful to keep this clean if you're working in a really tiny area. You have to wipe it off either frequently or just be careful. This is just the bales. So I'm just dipping it on the bales. If it's, if it gooshes around, I'm not worried about it. And then I'm laying the bale on whatever. So I made a charm with this starfish. Again, on Alene, these are like, I don't know, 50 for $1, or for like $2. So they're super cheap. I made a charm with it. I'm going to paint the back with acrylic paint, some kind of either a pearl paint or maybe just some glitter or something so it doesn't look so bad from the back. But what I found was with these, I can make any table scatter into a charm. So again, these come out at Valentine's Day. So they're not out now, but they will be in, 6 months from now. But they're Dollar Tree. And Dollar Tree has a lot of fun little things that come out during the holidays like that. So I wanted to do this video because Christmas is coming up and they're going to have probably some table scatter. But any table scatter you find that's acrylic based like this, you can make into a charm with these bales. So then I was trying to make flowers. I wanted to make flower charms. So again, with Dollar Tree has these rose petals for 300 rose petals for $1. And I've been trying to do everything with these rose petals. And I found a couple fun things to do, which I want to make a separate video on that. But what I started to do was I started to glue them together initially. Here, look, they all blew away. I got a fan over there. So I started to glue them together and stagger them. And then my idea was to roll them up like so. And that I would make a flower like that. Well, it doesn't look very full. It kind of looks like an ice cream cone once it's all rolled up because they're too big. So then what I figured out is if I line up all the petals, fold them in half and cut a little heart shape out of them, then glue them like that and roll them up, it looked a little fuller, which led me to my third flower, which was to line up 5 petals, fold them in half, cut them all the way down. So this was heart shaped, but if you cut them all the way down like this, like a really deep heart, and then use that, that's what worked better, because the ones that were just cut heart shaped were like this, and that didn't, and I put a little piece of tulle inside it too, and that didn't turn out. Again, it looks like kind of too ice cream cone shaped. But what I found was by cutting them a little bit deeper, and these aren't even as deep as that, when you roll up 5 petals, you can stick your eye pin through it and a bead cap, put a dot of bead cap in the bottom, clip. I cut off the bottom so that all the petals are kind of even, and that turned into a nice little flower. So I think that I've almost mastered it. I've almost got it. But I think that one more try will give me, see, you can see the little dot of glue there. I think one more try and I will have mastered this flower charm. But I really want to make some flower charms. I see them all the time and I don't want to pay the price for those. Some of this stuff is ridiculously priced. I don't want to pay $2 or $3 to get 6 flowers. So I really want to, thank you. I really want to figure out how to do this. This would work on a larger flower, not a charm, of course. And this is just Fabri-Tac. I just basically dotted a few dots of Fabri-Tac down, and this would work if you were making like a rosette. You could totally glue this, pull the edges together, and make like a 3-dimensional, here, let me overlap this. You could totally make, well, darn it, Dana. You could totally make you a 3-dimensional flower with that. And that would look pretty cute, don't you think? but they'd all be pink because all the petals are pink. So I guess you could dye them any color. But really what I was most excited about was the Snug Hug. I wanted to go on. I wanted to show you my experiment. I wanted to show you the bales. I'm into this charm lately. I can't tell you everything because Lisa's here and I didn't want to ruin a surprise. But Lisa, it's going to be a minute, honey. I get so excited, I swear. To do unicorn resin pieces. Yeah, oh yeah, you could do unicorn resin pieces. You could do any resin piece. You can put anything on a bale, Lisa. I'm telling you, it is. These are $3 for 100. You can't go wrong. You can't find a better price than I found on these. So, okay, back to this. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna see if these are gonna bleed, and I'll tell you this. I know for a fact this one's not going to bleed because of the type of paint. So I don't care what happens to this once I make a charm or put it on a journal or whatever I'm going to do with it. I don't care if you go out in the rain. I don't care if you spill your water, your coffee, your tea, your Coke, whatever. This is not going to. Yes, I do have a link, and I will put it down below after this video is over. So this, actually, I could probably just put it in the chat right now. Well, you know what? Let me do this first. Because I'm not going to make this video very long because I have to work tonight. And I did eat dinner, so that's good. I already ate dinner, so I don't have to pack a lunch. Anyway, so I can tell you this isn't going to bleed. It doesn't matter how much water I'm going to put on this. Can you see? This is not going to bleed. Okay. Now, well, and you know what? It did bleed a little bit. Okay, so this makes me a bit unhappy. Maybe because I just dyed this one about 30 minutes ago. Maybe it is not, the paint has not set. So I probably need to, and this is Ranger. You know what? I'm telling you, this is one of those paint daubers. It's not distressed paint, but typically I go with these little cheap craft paints, and these I know for a fact are permanent. These are permanent, but let's try, just for the sake of argument, let's try this Tattered Angels and see if we can get this to bleed, because I'm really concerned about these mica sprays. And yeah, okay, as you can see, okay, so the Tattered Angels did have plenty of time to dry. I don't know if you can see that this is starting to seep out some of this pink. And I think that I am not going to dye any more seam binding with Glimmer Mist. As pretty as it makes it, it does give it a lovely sheen. But I think, and I have an idea here, let me grab this and show you my idea. Because I think I hate to, Dana, I'm all over the place back here. You know, this is why you have to stay organized so you can find everything you need. Okay, so if you never buy another Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist, you need to buy this one. This one is just called Pearl. It adds a sheen to anything you have. This, you will never regret paying the $5 for this. Pigment inks will not bleed. Really. I'm gonna see, normally I use archival inks because they do not go anywhere. But I do want to say that this Glimmer Mist will add that sheen. And I don't know, let me hold this up to the light so you can see. These have a beautiful sheen on them. Can you see the light hitting these? The ones that are done with the Tattered Angels? Can you see how shiny they look? They almost look like, kind of like sari silk. Except for they're edged. This has this has a woven edge. So it's not torn. But well, and that's the thing. That's what happened to me, Lisa. I had used the Tim Holtz, and I do like the dilution sprays, but I had Tim Holtz on the cover of a book that I had made. I had done the soot, I think it was. What's it called? I think it's called soot, which is the black. I had edged around the edge of the book. Well, it started to rain, and this was probably, I don't know, this was probably a year ago. It started to rain. I had the book to my chest trying to protect it, and what happened was enough water got on that book between the car and my house that it bled into my shirt. And I had done that book edge when that soot first came out. When that ink first came out, I was like, oh, I love this. I love this look. I love the aging of the edges and making things look old. And that soot came off. That ink came off on my white shirt. Now, it did come out in the wash. It did not stain my shirt, so that's good. But it came off on me. And that's when I switched to archival ink, so that way if I spilled a glass of water or something, that I wouldn't mess up my project. So I love the Tattered Angels colors. Love you, Lisa. I love the Tattered Angels colors. So that's what I've been working on. I've been working on this charm, and it's making me crazy because I have it in my head what I want it to look like. And some of the products I need are not, you can't just walk in the store and buy some of the things I want to put on this charm. So I kind of have to find alternate ways to make this charm. And this is hopefully going to be my piece de resistance charm. I really try to kind of improve each, as I go, each project, and make it a little bit more mine. I try to make things individual and really, well, we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. But I am thinking that if once I find the dye that doesn't bleed, that I want to kind of stick with, that I can spray this Glimmer Mist pearl over the top of it when I'm done, so that it makes it look a little more shiny, because this is wet again now that I sprayed it with water, but this was very dull when it was dry, and this had the sheen. So I don't know. I guess it depends on the look you're going for. If you want it to look vintage, if you want it to look new. I love the vintagey color of the money, of the Tattered Angels money. But as you can see, it does have a good bit of sheen on it. I don't know how well, is the camera picking that up? Grandma Joe, I don't use fabric softener for the most part because I'm allergic to everything. And I'm cheap. So I use the wool balls. You know what the wool balls are in my dryer? And that makes everything soft with no chemicals and no static electricity. So I have those wool dryer balls. They look like tennis balls. So I don't have any fabric softener, but I do typically wear gloves to do any of this stuff so that I don't stain my hands or break out, because I never know what I'm allergic to. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so I found these. This got me started. I found these. Everybody's been hauling stuff at the Hobby Lobby tag sale. Well, guess what I found? I found these, and I think I showed them in my haul. I found these, and this is interesting because, let me show you guys this. I don't know if you realize that it came with this. But you guys see these little tiny screws? These are actually Phillips head screws. And if you have an eyeglass screwdriver, can you see that? I don't know if it's picking that up. There's little holes on the side here that you can screw these into these holes for a more sturdy charm. And this is really heavy duty. And this was actually in the sewing department. This is not in the jewelry department at Hobby Lobby. And they were 74 cents. But normally, even when they're not on clearance, they're only $3 and you get 2 of them. So I personally think that's a pretty good deal. So yeah, these are tiny. But if you look, this hole is threaded. And you can actually, let's see if I can start turning that. You can actually, that actually will screw into the top of that cap. Let me get the light over here. Can you see that? And go across there to hold whatever you have in there. So if you wanted to make a tassel, you could double up whatever you want. I'm sure if you just dumped some glue in there and secured it down, like I'm thinking you take it, you take all your tassel when you're ready, put something over, maybe something that won't poke through over the top, right? Make sure all your tassel is the way you want it. Put a drop of glue in there, stick that to the glue and let it kind of settle in for a second, and then screw that down. That's never coming out. That tassel's never going to come apart. And I think that this will make it look nice because this is going to cover all your glue base. So if you have a lot of stuff at the tip of it and a lot of, if you got a lot of glue gobs and your string ends and all your stuff that you're attaching to it, whether it's, you could put anything, you could put leather cording, you could put laces, because laces don't always look great on the end of the lace where you cut it. But I think that, you can put all kinds of stuff, because you're still going to have the other end of the lace too that's kind of scraggly. But I have a whole shabby tassel in mind. So the top doesn't have to look perfect, but I do like things to look a little more store-bought and professional sometimes, at the same time as looking like, believably homemade. But I really love this color. And I know that a lot of people think this green is drab, but I made that Christmas tag. Let me see where this Christmas tag is. I made this Christmas tag. Well, and here's a little cut apart that came with, let's see what I did. I put all my Christmas stuff in this drawer. Now I can't find it. Well, you know what? I got it out to show on another video, and now, of course, I didn't put it back in the right place. Good job, Dana. So, yay. Dang it. I hate when I do that. I've been playing with a lot of the Christmas stuff too. Look at this. I got this die and it makes this Christmas tree, right? So I started playing with this Alene's glitter snow. Have you guys seen this? I love this stuff. Look at it. I just took this, my little palette knife, took a tiniest bit. I bent this backwards. Here, let me get this. I put these in here so I wouldn't smash them. I bent this backwards so all these little branches would stick out. And then I just went along and just touched the edge of that. And I went along the side of the tree a little bit too. I think I'm going to put a little bit more on the sides. But this stuff is so fun. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's got teeny, teeny, tiny glitter in it. Can you see the glitter? Anyway, it's real three-dimensional. And it dries hard as a rock. It's almost like icing. But, this is 2 coats. Don't get me wrong. I love my Posca pen, right? But I'm telling you. Hi, Lizzie. I love my Posca pen. But this Posca pen snow that I colored on here, 2 coats doesn't look near as good as the Alene's glitter snow does. This stuff is amazing. I used a teeny tiny bit. It's $4 on Amazon. So I would get some before they run out. This stuff I cannot ever find in the craft store. I don't know why Hobby Lobby or Joann's or somebody doesn't snag a bunch of it up and sell it, because it's great. It's great stuff. And you know what? You can use this. I read the back of the jar. You can use this on outdoor projects too, which I think is super cool. So if you're making like a little decor wreath for your front door, you could literally hit it with this fake snow. And this does take a while to dry. This takes about 24 hours to really get hard as a rock. But you could do Christmas ornaments. You could put it on evergreen branches. You could put it on pine cones. You know, that fake snow on pine cones? This is white, and it's got that tiny bit of glitter, so it almost looks like real snow. The problem with the glitter they put in here is that it's got a tiny bit of holographicness to it, and real snow always looks like little tiny diamonds. I don't know. See, you can't even see it. You can't even see it in there, but it's really, really good stuff. I'm in love with this stuff. If I were you, I would get some because it's super fun. Super fun stuff. All right. So that's it for me. Let me move this light. Sorry, is that glaring everywhere? There's my, sorry, my microphone's on the light, hanging on the light cover. Ding, ding, ding. Sounds like a cowbell, doesn't it? But that's it for my project share. I am, I have a lot of ideas going. I wanted to get some of them out. I should write this stuff down sometimes, but I was being lazy. So I thought I would just do a quick recording of my madness. Because, you know, I'm in the middle of this mess right now. I'm going to screw these in so I don't lose these little pins. I think this will actually be great when I go to use this tassel top. Thanks for coming in, ladies. I appreciate the visit. Kind of a little impromptu live there before work. And now I got this mess to clean up. I'm kind of disappointed by the bleeding on this. I really like this color. I'm going to see if I can't find an acrylic paint color that'll give me that and maybe do the pearl over it so that if something does bleed later, it won't be a color. It'll be just the sheen. Oh, you do? Oh, and you know what? I threw out a ton of information out of this one. This was like all my, like, sometimes I get all these ideas and I say, oh, I'm going to make a video for that. Oh, I'm going to make a video for this. And then Lizzie, you know what I do? I just work and I work on it. And like last night I had to go to work, my actual job, because crafting isn't really, when I say I'm working on a craft, that's so fun. So it's nothing compared to actual work, right? But I'm working on projects and I get so kind of engrossed in them that next thing I know, I'm, you know, I go to work and then I come home and I'm working some more and I have to sleep. And so that's why I went live now, is I thought, you know what, let me get some of this out because I'm excited about the seam binding. I'm excited about the cabochons, the bales. I'm excited about to do this experiment. How is the family? Well, so far, so good. My son's hand is healed up. My older son broke his hand. My younger son has a problem with his foot. So that is still in, we're still waiting for our next doctor's visit. And then my dad is good. So far, so good. And my dad had an aortic aneurysm repair, which was a huge deal. And that was July. And I had asked everybody to say a prayer. Anyway, so he went back for his follow-up. So far, so good. right now. And then we go this week. They had a CAT scan to make sure that nothing's moved around and nothing is that the blood flow is the right, going where it's supposed to, and that everything's healing. So I feel good about it. He feels good. Yes. So I am thrilled. My dad's 82. He's never had any serious health problems before. So I'm thrilled. I am absolutely thrilled. So really that he feels good is the main thing for me. That's the main issue for me, is as long as he feels good, I want him to. And he felt really bad after the surgery. We were really worried. For a couple days, he just slept and he kept saying, I'm just so tired. I'm just so tired. And you ordered the snow, Vivian. That you will not regret the snow. I'm telling you, I love this stuff. And I thought they didn't make anymore. I had a jar years ago and I had made some little, I had went to the Dollar Tree, and you know how you can buy that fake evergreen garland? I had bought that, and it's just a little cheapy plasticky garland. Well, I had bought that and cut them all into like 4 or 5 inch pieces. And I had went along each one just real lightly with a knife. And I'm telling you, I didn't even have a palette knife back then. I went along it with the edge of a butter knife, or maybe it was a cheese knife or something silly. Anyway, hitting them all along the edge because I wanted to tie each one with a ribbon on top of packages of things I was selling at a craft fair. And I wanted it to look real, real cute. And I literally didn't even make a dent in it. I did all of those little pieces of evergreens, and I had a bunch left over, and I smacked this stuff on everything. I loved it. I used the whatever out of it. So when it came around again, I didn't know they still made it. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that stuff. I got to buy some. So I was thrilled when I found it again. It's super fun to put on stuff. You can even put it on paper just like that tree. It's fun for cards. It's fun for cutouts. You could, like, even if you want to do like something like that, you could just hit the top and press it down so it looks like, the top of whatever got snowed upon. I only have that one tree die. This is the only Christmas tree I have, this little tiny one. But I really like it. I like the fact that it's got all the branches kind of that cuts out. And that's why I ended up buying it. And so, yeah. And on Amazon, stuff gets there real quick, don't it? Excuse me. I know you meant can't wait to try it. I know we always have to read between the lines, especially when I'm typing, because I'm not that great either. Well, that's about it for me and my bright ideas. It's a lot, I know. I should have probably made separate videos for each one of these things. And I am going to do a separate video for the light bulbs because I think some people probably aren't interested in the light bulbs. This is more for, I know Grandma Joe, you probably would be, but yeah, this just saves so much money. Sorry, Thad wrote on these so we could remember what was what. But I want those art light bulbs, but for what were they? Thad, what were those bulbs? 50 or 80 or what were they? Were ridiculous. How much do you remember how much one was? 50 some dollars. And I can't do it. So when we figured out that we could make the full spectrum that I needed to get both the lights, and there's a lot that goes into it, really, because wattage and lumens are not the same thing. And then you've got all the different types of light bulb. Right. Yes, Vivian. And this is the thing. I needed to match paint. Exactly. Because of my OCD, I didn't want something that wasn't going to be exact. And
better spectrum than the hot light. The hot light has a lot of foliage.
well, and this is the thing. Initially, I looked into the OT light. Well, I have two main problems with the OT light. An OT light is not a full spectrum, and an OT light bulb when it goes out is not replaceable, and I think that's a ripoff. And OT, I want you to know, I disagree with your business practices. If you ever listen to my videos. And I'm going to say so in my light bulb video. I'm calling you out, because I think they're ripping people off. I really do. I think if you guys look into it, a lot of crafters see those OT lights at Joann's and at Hobby Lobby, and they think they're good lights because they advertise them a lot, and Joann has sales on them a lot, and they don't carry a lot of other specific brands for crafting. But you can buy a clamp light anywhere and put any bulb you want into it, and it's not going to be as expensive if you do your homework. And you don't even have to do your homework because I've done it for you. And I'm going to do a video on the different light bulbs that I found. One of these cost me $8. Okay, and the other one was 15. So these are actually longer lasting bulbs. They're LEDs. They're going to last me a long time. I have two in right now. I have two different lamps clamped to this desk so that I can get a full spectrum of light anytime I need it. And I can switch one off and the other on if I feel like, if I want to look at the different spectrums without the other. Good, Divian, because that's, I mean, I know that people love the OT light, and don't get me wrong, they're convenient when it comes to, they have the bendable neck, they have the clamp lights, they have the nice footed one that you can put on the ground around your desk and have more room on your desk. And so it is, you know, they are nice as far as being able to see what you're doing clearly, and they're positionable and all that. That's the good part of the OT light. But what I feel is upsetting is that the light bulb, when the light bulb burns out, then what? You throw the whole lamp away? I don't understand. Can you even buy a replacement bulb through the company? Because as far as I know, when I looked into the OT light, I read all the reviews because I kept seeing them at Tuesday morning. And so I looked into the spectrum and I said, well, it's not a full spectrum bulb, but I'm going to go ahead and maybe put one on my work table because I don't do a lot of the paint matching over there. I do it here. And so if I'm mixing up two colors paint to get a particular shade, I do it right here with both lights on. But I could use another light at my big table and where I where I lay out my papers and pick things and cut larger pieces of cardboard and stuff. And so I thought about it and I couldn't figure out, right? Me too, Lizzie. Yeah, me too. I would rather. So yeah, so I am going to do a video on the light bulbs. I am going to include links where you can buy your own so that you have the full spectrum of, what I have to do is I have to print off the graph because you know what? I didn't even know myself. I didn't fully understand the light spectrum and how it played into how our eyes interpret the light, what we see. And so I want to print off this graph because I have a really useful little graph that shows what the light spectrum consists of, and where normal bulbs lay and where sunlight is and where UV light is and where fluorescent light is. And it's got this whole little kind of range. And it's really interesting when you see you know, which is why, I don't know, you put on your makeup and you go outside and you pull that little visor down in the car and you go, oh, what was I thinking? Or at least I do, because, you know, I'm bad with makeup, so I'm not. Or when HD first came out, you remember when HD came out and people would take pictures and that one person in the picture would have totally like white face, like this color, because she didn't have HD makeup on. I think they're all HD now, but so thank God I don't wear makeup a lot because my face always looked normal in pictures. Um, but yeah, I would be that person that would have 5-year-old makeup on just because I never buy any. I think that's the reason I don't use a lot of makeup is because it just expires. I've bought makeup, I buy all the stuff. I wait, you know, it's ridiculous the amount of money you spend. And then by the time I go to wear it again, she's supposed to be thrown away in 6 months or whatever. So I'm like, yeah, okay. Maybe that's not great. Plus, I just look like a clown. The harder I try, the clownier I look. So, yep. And for someone who used to wear makeup every day back in the 80s when it was, you know, popular to have the clown look, yeah, that was. Okay, so that's it for me. I think I'm going to end my live here and start to clean up this mess. And I don't know when I'm going to do the light bulb video, but I will do the light bulb video. I will run to put some links down below. I love eyeliner. You know what? I do love eyeliner. I love putting a little eyeliner on the corners of my eyes, and I love mascara. So I'm more of a like a Burt's Bees girl. So I usually put some Burt's Bees on my lip and they have the tint, you know, they have the tint. I don't have very big lips anyway, so no, like, I don't know that it would be that noticeable if I had lipstick on anyway. But I do love mascara. I love my mascara. And with my gray hair, my eyebrows are going to start turning gray someday, and I'll be drawing those on. I'll get my Sharpie out and just, yeah, paint away. Okay, so I will put several links below. I'm going to put the Alene's Glitter Snow. I'm going to put the Bales. I'm definitely going to put the Zipper Stop Seam Binding. So this is going to be 3 different companies. I'm going to put an Amazon link. I'm going to put an AliExpress link. And I'm going to put a Zipper Stop link. And that way you can buy 100 yards of seam binding for $19.99. You can buy the bales, 100, I believe they're 100 for $3. And you can buy the Alene's Glitter Snow, I want to say for about $4. So, all of these, this is my favorite. You know what? This is my favorite right here of all these bales I made. Can you guys tell that's a little pearl rose? Can you see that? My hand's in the light. Let me pull this light back over. Can you see this little pearl rose? That's my favorite one. I think that turned out so cute. See, you just never know, people. Just start gluing stuff to these bales. You can make anything into a charm. You can buy something out of a bubblegum machine and make it into a charm. So, good night. Thank you for coming. And I'll see you all soon. Bye, ladies. Bye.